Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Grid. We are live, and we have a very special guest today. Cool Seattle guy. Chillin' photographer. He's illin', he's chillin', he's kosher Dylan. Yep, it's Daniel Gregory. Daniel, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Scott. It's nice to be. I'm on the new set. Well, I guess it's not your new set, but it's my first time on the new set.
No, we still call it the new set. It still feels new to us.
It's quite exciting.
It's a 2017 set, but it still feels like a new one.
There's so many lights and wires. It's amazing.
I know.
The technology to drive the grid is amazing.
Thank you for noticing. It's all very intricate. It all works together.
It is. I pulled one earlier and the whole thing shut down.
Yeah, that's how it works. Anyway, we got a great topic for you today. We're going to be talking about getting past creative roadblocks. So we're glad you're here to join us. And guess who's on the, the feed, the chat? It's Jackie. Jackie's in the chat. How's it going, Jackie? She's totally prepared. She gave me a thumbs up and Spanish words. So that's very good. 5 points for Jackie. Doing a great job there.
And it's only to 5, so she wins.
Yeah, it's only to 5. Anyway, but we got a lot of cool stuff. Hey, I do want to tell you, this is kind of important news. We have some other news that's less important, but I think this is pretty important here. So Friday, 2 days from now, so this is Wednesday, we're broadcasting live on Friday the 28th, is the cutoff for the early bird special for Photoshop World. So if you want to go to Photoshop World, if you've always dreamed of going to Photoshop World, go sign up right now. It's coming up May 31st through June 2nd in Orlando, Florida. It's the only Photoshop World of the year, and you will learn more in 3 days than you have in 3 years. Now, see it says register early? That's early means by Friday. You save $100 off, and if you're a KelbyOne member, you save another $100 off, but you got to make sure you register by Friday. Now, look, if you're watching this show, you're really into this stuff. You're into Photoshop, you're into Lightroom, you're into photography. Friday is the 27th, I see. Thank you, Jackie. Did I say the 28th? Because I sure meant the 27th. Thank you, Jackie. Wow, she's on top of it. Woo! She's on top. Anyway, so the 27th, it's Friday. Look, if you're watching this show, you always wanted to go to Photoshop World. And you know what's going to happen? We're going to be broadcasting a live. So we're doing a live one, Daniel, at Photoshop World. We're doing a live episode, and we're having all of our friends. So we have so many people that watch the grid that are all coming together. We're going to have a party. We're going to have spray cheese. So look over on my shoulder back there. There's a can and a box of chicken and a biscuit. We're going to have cheese and biscuits for everybody. I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. And if you're a grid follower, you're invited to the party. We're going to be doing it in the keynote room. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to have fun. We're going to have fun. It's going to be a blast. And you know what's going to happen? You're going to watch it and go, I should have gone. I should have gone. I've always wanted to go to Photoshop World, and they're doing this cool thing, and I should have gone. Don't be watching it at home and saying I should have gone. It's not too late to sign up. In fact, I'd sign up by Friday if I were you. Hey, I'm going to show you real quick a little clip that is designed to do one thing, make you want to go to Photoshop World. Check it out. That is a great trailer. It makes me want to go so badly and play Ludwig drums. Did you know we're doing an Instructor jam session?
That could be amazing. I have individually seen most of you perform, and I think together it could be like Woodstock legendary.
Daniel, there's people that play musical instruments that you would never guess. Do you know who is a screaming guitar player? I mean, like smoking, crazy, screaming guitar player.
Kelly Greer.
Frank Doorhoff.
Okay, I had him as a didgeridoo guy.
No, he's a freaking screaming guitar player. You know who else is a good guitar player? Matt Kloskowski.
Ah, I can see that.
And you know who's playing drums? Rob Foldy.
Wow.
By the way, Rob Foldy is in freaking Italy. He's been sending me pictures every day. Oh, I watched your class on Venice. Here's where you said to go. And I'm like, oh, you dog. Anyway, we're glad to have you with us. Go to photoshopworld.com and come and actually be with us in person.
And when I decided to jump from film to digital, I had been an Adobe Photoshop tech support rep, but really didn't know about the digital side. And I made the decision to go to Photoshop World years ago. It was my first, really foray, and I knew nobody, not a single person. And I have to say, it was amazing. I did everything. I did Midnight Madness. I got up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to get my ticket. I was like first in line. I was all excited. But it was amazing. The people I met were amazing, and the instructors were so gracious. I stopped them in the hall. I got to introduce them, and I got to meet some of my what I thought were the heroes, and they were on this vaulted pedestal. And they took the time to really ask me about my work and what I wanted to do and what I wanted to achieve. It was such an amazing experience.
And then was it weird the first time you got to teach at Photoshop World after being in the audience?
That was even weirder. Because you stand up in front and you're like, I used to be that guy out there.
Yeah.
And but no, it's just.
But that's how it works, right? That's the greatest thing.
It is. And the community is so engaged there, and everybody just wants to share. And I've met some of my dearest friends that I still have to this day. We, Photoshop World or not, you travel, you bump into each other, you make trips together. So if you haven't gone, it really is a unique and great experience.
Well, you may stay for the rest of the show. Thank you very much. Well done. All right. So, hey, we have some giveaways today. As always, I got to get a stunt version of this to show you, but we're going to give away some platypods. But everybody by now knows what a platypod is. Everybody loves the platypod. This is what I took with me to New York. You know what's great about a platypod in New York? No one stops you from using it anywhere. St. Patrick's Cathedral, famous story of Matt Kluskowski getting, how he got to use the security was on him, and he tried to get away with doing an HDR. It was a big mess. He would never have that happen with a platypod. And we're giving away the Ultra, which is ultra small and lightweight. The Max, which is the heaviest thing you've ever used. No, it's just heavyweight for a heavyweight camera. And what is this? My brand new Lightroom Classic book? What? It is on press now. The ebook will be released any day, but we're going to give you the print book. Oh, yeah. I'll even sign it. Oh, yeah. It's coming out soon, and you can find it. You can go pre-order it right now, be the first one to get it, because only one of you is going to win, so like that. Anyway, let's just say hi to some quick people, and then we're going to get onto our topic. We've got, here's one. Dijan Rakita from Banja Luka in the Bosnian Republic of Srpska. I probably messed all of that up, but Jean, we're very glad to have you here. Sandy's here from Northwest Michigan. That's easier to pronounce for us. Peter's here from Milwaukee. Joe's here from Minnesota. Bob's from Fort Lauderdale. Gary is here from the Philippines. Erica from South Africa. Mark's here from Skegness. Mark, you're the only person that ever watches our show from Skegness. Can you get some more people, Mark, in Skegness and go, hey, it's a thing. So, we could be big. We could take over Skegness, but we're going to need your help, Mark. Steve is here from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Dwana's here from Oklahoma. And Deb says, hey, Scott and Daniel from Windy, California. All right. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to dive right in with both feet, maybe a foot and a half. Our topic today is getting past creative blocks. Daniel is an expert at this.
I'm blocked all the time.
He's so blocked. No, this is a great topic because I struggle with this. I got a couple of things, but I think mine are going to pale into comparison to yours, which are deeper and more insightful, because I got to be honest with you. You're just a deeper and more insightful person than I am. I'm surface level kind of stuff. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, our topic, getting past creative blocks with Daniel Gregory. Oh!
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Hey, we're back. Scott Kelby here with Daniel Gregory. Hey, does ProPhoto get my vote? They get my vote for best ad ever. Like just the best ad.
Yeah, that was amazing.
This is the best ad ever. Hey, did you guys see the news about Flickr and SmugMug?
I did see that.
Right, SmugMug? And they're out in your way, aren't they? Isn't SmugMug West Coast?
West Coast, there. West
Are
Coast.
Are they Portlandy? Where are they from?
I think they're the Bay Area. Are they Portland?
No, they're Portland.
I think they're
yeah.
They're
Well,
Portland, yeah.
that's close to driving distance from
Yeah,
Seattle.
it's just a baseball toss.
Baseball toss. Anyway, so if you hadn't heard the news, Flickr, SmugMug was acquired by Flickr, which I think is awesome. Flickr was kind of left out there to just die on the vine, and I think that SmugMug, great company, great people. I think they'll have, if anybody has a great chance of bringing them back to life, SmugMug's got a great community. I wish them the very best. I think it's great that they did that. Hey, our topic today is getting past creative roadblocks. And so Daniel was talking to me about this a little on the break. And I think as photographers, we all hit it. And I've hit that wall so many times, I can't even tell you. Now, one of the things that has helped me is when I have hit a creative roadblock, I go to Calibra. Calibra is a fountain of creativity, and she can really help me through it. And also, she can come up with ideas when I can't. But what are some strategies? And also, of course, we want to hear your strategies as well. So if you want to drop us any notes and stuff. But Daniel, give us some ideas about what you can do when you hit that.
Well, I think actually to leapfrog off what you just said, I think one of the important things is that for some reason we sometimes think we have to get through the roadblock alone. And Lori, who's she's my wife, she's also my business partner, and we help people with this, is that we break it down into individual, small group, and then the larger community. And so there's things we do as individuals, but one of the biggest ones is you're not alone, and you have other people around you who can support you and help you and inspire you. And sometimes all it takes is literally just walking up to somebody, like you do with Cleaver, and be like, God, I'm really stuck. Or this just isn't working for me. Can we talk about it for a minute? And usually just a little conversation is oftentimes enough to get out of your own head where you're stuck like, oh, I'm terrible at this, I don't know what I'm doing. And just a little boost or a little insight or somebody to say, oh, I think this is interesting. Oftentimes that's enough. Like that just, you get in your own way, and then you tell yourself this horrible story, and it goes on for days and weeks, sometimes and months. And you've made up the story. It's like, oh, I'm a terrible photographer, and my equipment's terrible, and they don't even take pictures anymore. And
have you been taping me? That sounds like the stuff that I say.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, Cleaver's like, hey, why don't you just go take a picture of something? And you're like, oh, my camera does work. Look at that.
Well, I have all those things. I'll have that thing where I go, I don't even know what to shoot next. If I have to shoot another person on a white background or a gray background, I'm jumping out the freaking window. And so, and she'll just literally, I think sometimes just talking with someone, that it does ignite your well, it's like brainstorming. They call it brainstorming, right? Yeah. But I think as photographers, people forget that when we're sitting there trying to come up with an idea, sometimes you're starting from scratch. You're ice cold. I don't know how you are when you do a shoot, Daniel, but when I do a shoot, I am absolutely ice cold at the beginning of a shoot. When I show up to a landscape location, if I show up to do travel photography, I know on my first day, I'm not going to get any good shots. Yes. I know I need to warm up. My chances of getting good shots are happening later and later in the week. And do you know that when I go in the studio and we hire a professional model and they bring numerous outfits, I always have them shoot the outfit I hate first. Because the model's ice cold and I'm ice cold, and it takes me a while to warm up. Well, I think it's the same thing with creativity. Like if I go to Calibra and I'm like, honey, I'm just stuck. And she's like, okay, what's going on? And I explain the whole thing. All of a sudden, the two of us, it kind of warms you up. It's very hard to warm yourself up.
Yeah.
So I think there's really something there to what you said.
Yeah, and I think another piece of that too is, particularly if you find people and artists who aren't photographers necessarily. And so you go in with, I just can't figure out, how do I want the lighting to look, or how do I want this to look? And, if they're a painter, sculptor, writer, they really don't even care or understand that. And so they start asking you questions about, really, so what kind of story are you trying to tell?
Yeah.
And, you're like, well, I've got this new lens. And they're like, I don't know what that means. So tell me something else. And we realized that, wow, at our core, we want to tell stories and make interesting images. And it's not really about all this other stuff. And I think having somebody who's not a photographer help, because photographers kind of self-loathe, or they'll reinforce, maybe if you got a different lens.
Yeah, maybe you try to tilt shift.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Wow, that's great advice. Yeah, and I really like that. Yeah, so, no, but you're right, because a lot of our answers to creative problems are go buy another piece of gear or use a different piece of gear.
Yeah, and what happens that in my own experience has been when I buy new gear, the euphoria of the new gear makes me think I'm creative, but I'm back at the exact same spot a week later, which means it really didn't fix anything. It just kind of gave me a temporary buzz. And
That happens in golf when you buy a new club.
Yeah.
You're the same golfer. You buy this club, and all of a sudden you're like, man, this club's amazing. I'm hitting great. It's the euphoria of the club that has got your juices going. And in a week or two, you're back to the golfer you were because the euphoria is gone, and now it's just, you had a really good club before.
Yeah.
That at one point you were like, wow, I love this club. This is going to make the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's in photography. You meet photographers and you're like, oh, I just can't get a good shot with my camera. And they take out these old clunker piece of junk cameras and you're like, oh, guess it's not the camera.
Hey, we got a couple of comments coming in. Let's see. Clinton Ferrara says, I don't have creative block. I have moving block. I've been moving for 6 weeks. So Clinton actually, I think, is moving. I think he's moving to Hawaii.
Well, that's a tough move.
Yeah, that's got to be bad, Clinton. I feel bad for you. Yeah. You guys feel bad for him moving to Hawaii, right? That's got to be awful. Yeah. Jackie, what do you think? Oh, yeah.
I live on an island.
She's upset.
His island's better.
His island's better than almost every island. Yeah. Hey, Cheeky Nando. Oh, we have a drinking game on the show. If you say Cheeky Nando, we have to take a drink.
All right.
You that at home that are following us, drink water. Cheeky Nando from Lisbon, Portugal, says, I decided to go in a completely different way after being landscape blocked. I'm doing portraits and flowers right now, and I'm loving the new things I'm learning.
Yeah, that is a great tip. And that's one of the things that just changing the genre, if you want to stay in the photography. But I think another big one is don't pigeonhole yourself into one creative endeavor. And so I noticed that, like I was with my photography, I was being stuck. And then with some family things, I just wasn't shooting, and I was just falling into this spot where I just wasn't picking up the camera. I mean, I got a D850 and I put 12 frames on it, and I just wasn't shooting. And I realized I had so much pressure being put on my need to be a photography that I was like, oh, I need to do something else. So I'm learning to play the guitar. And so now,
I like that. I have great respect for that.
It was your wall of guitars where I thought
it's inspirational.
I need a wall like that. But I realized I needed a different creative outlet. And so when I felt like I was stuck photographically or stuck editing or whatever I was doing, I could pick something else up that's a creative act and just get my brain engaged in a different way. So it was like, oh, I'm playing the guitar. That's totally different. And then it was kind of like putting a little gasoline back in the tank. So when I returned to photography, I might still think I don't know what I'm going to do with the shoot, but I had some energy behind, well, I'm ready to experiment a little bit now. I wasn't running on fumes anymore. So I think, even whether you're changing from landscape to portrait or you pick up a pen and you start to draw, I think just a little variation in the creative act is important. I think that's a big thing for people to realize. It doesn't have to be all or nothing with photography.
Yeah, sometimes just taking a break, like if you're hitting a wall, like if you are a flower photographer, like Cheeky Nando was saying, he's shooting flowers now, and you're just not, you feel like I'm stuck. You need to walk away. Sometimes you can, muscle through it or just kind of power through it, as my son would say. But honestly, a lot of times you just need to walk away and see it with a fresh set of eyes. And it may be a day, it may be a week, it may be a month, and then you come back, because having passion for what you're shooting is a very important thing. Yes. And if you lose the passion for what you're shooting and it becomes a thing, because if you're a flower photographer, flowers have this beauty, and it's very hard. I always tell people, it's hard to capture good flower shots.
Oh, yeah.
Because flowers are so beautiful by themselves that if you take a shot of just something that's already beautiful, it's like, oh, yeah, that's a daisy. But to get a kick butt daisy shot is not easy. It's like it's like the Grand Canyon. There are certain things that are very hard to shoot. I think flowers are one of them. And I could see you hitting a wall big time with flowers. I went through my flower stage. I had a very brief flower stage where I was shooting flowers on black and stuff. And then of course you see like Melanie Kern Favilla, and you're like, I give up. I'm not shooting flowers. I don't know.
I have flowers that are in front of my camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's definitely on a
She's on a different level. You know, she did a class on KelbyOne. I hate to plug KelbyOne while we're here, but what the heck?
Well, not only that, in the community, it's been great to see how many people have watched her class and been processing photos and posting them back up into the community. It's been really cool to watch.
No, she's the boss.
Yeah.
All right. Just a couple of comments coming in here. Well, these are just some hellos there. Suzanne says, I'm going to my first Photoshop World this year. I'm so excited and nervous. Suzanne, do not be nervous. Here's what you do. Suzanne, I'm going to tell you how to have an absolute awesome time at Photoshop World. Find Vanelli. So Vanelli's one of our instructors, and he's also kind of the cruise director, official mascot / love machine of Photoshop World. And if you go to him and go, are you Vanelli? This is my first Photoshop World. I guarantee you will meet so many people. You will do so many things because he's dying to find people that are new and really get them engaged with everything.
But do not give him your cell phone number.
Do not give him your cell phone number no matter what happens.
He'll call you like at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, we're going to In-N-Out Burger. And you'll be like, do you ever sleep?
No, that's not bad. He'll call you 3 years later.
Oh, no, I was going to get to that. I'm like, and then you think, well, okay, it's the conference. But then, months go by and then you get this call at like 2 o'clock in the morning. It's
and
like,
you can't even remember who he is.
He's like, hey, it's Vanelli. I just called to see what's going on.
You're like, who's Vanelli? I met you at Photoshop World. Oh, okay, is something up? No, just saying hi.
Just seeing if you're awake.
It's 3:15 in the morning. I know.
Yeah.
Don't give him your cell phone number, but find him.
Yeah.
Now, the night before we do kind of a meetup in the bar, there's a big bar there at the Hyatt, and we do a meetup. You'll see him, you'll hear him. He's like a human wall. He's the world's largest human. He's very muscular and big and, but he's got a great smile, and he'll have all these people around him. Just go up and go, are you Vanelli? It's my first time here.
The other one.
That's it.
Are you guys doing Dinner with a Stranger?
We're doing Dinner with a Stranger.
I did that my first time. I actually met 3 of my dear friends actually at my Dinner with a Stranger night.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, so that if you've never been and you don't know anybody, you can go sign up for Dinner with a Stranger, and they'll have reservations at a restaurant. You go hang out with somewhere between 10 and 12 other people who are also there alone trying to meet new people, and it's a great time to socialize and a really great way to meet people. So I would.
Yeah, and a lot of people wind up falling in love and getting married.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, GW Clark says, I got my ticket for Scott's class in Salt Lake City. Awesome. Let's go to Crown Burger when we're there. See, you think I forgot about Crown Burger. I didn't. Roy's here from Albuquerque. Marcus is here from Braunschweig, Germany. Yay. Braunschweig in the house. Daniel's here. Another Daniel. There's not just one. He's here. Hello from good old Switzerland. And Patrick from Ireland. It's a long way to Tipperary. Charmin Hutton says, hello from Canada. Tim's here for Jacksonville. Dennis is here from Mobile Bay. James from Clifton Park. Man, everybody's here today. Everyone's checking in. Yeah. Hey, we are taking your comments and questions about our topic, which is called Getting Past Creative Roadblocks. What are some other things that you've done for getting past creative roadblocks?
So one of the things I just want to go back to your wall comment where we kind of hit the wall. My dear friend Gina always says, if you hit the wall, all you have to do is turn left or right.
Good point.
And because, she's like, if you try to muscle through it, you just get more frustrated and feel more bogged down. And she's like, but sometimes all you got to do is turn left.
So what does that mean, though, for a photographer? So
I think for a photographer, it's like in a studio shoot. I was recently doing some portraits, and it was just not working. And I wanted a certain look. I couldn't get it. And after about 6, 7, and I could tell my model, who wasn't a professional model, but was a friend of mine who was helping me out, was like, and I was like, oh, okay, let's change the lighting. So I'm just going to give up on this idea. Let's move the lights around. And that was just a little turn, a little pivot to say, okay, this gel strobe thing I'm trying is not working. Let's change, put a beauty dish on, and we start shooting again. I get my confidence back. She gets her confidence back. So that was the turn left. I didn't have to get that one shot. And ironically, I came back to it later. Worked perfect.
I've done the exact same thing.
I don't know what happened the first time, but it worked great the second.
Yeah, if I start to get frustrated and I'm trying to get a look and I can't get it lighting-wise, I bail on it and then try it again later. And it is amazing how, and it is, I think, kind of the process of getting in the groove and warming up. And then later you come back and a thing that, especially, that's why I don't like to try hard stuff first. Like, I always go with a lighting setup that's a can't miss for me to start off. It's like, I don't want to have to worry about it. If I'm going to try something funky, it's going to happen later in the shoot. Because if I do it early, there's a reasonable chance of crash and burn.
Yeah, the other piece that I recently learned, Lori just released one of her new books It's out there, and I've always been
And what
amazed.
kind of books does she do?
So she is a essayist and a poet, and so
nice.
her new book is called Unshaken Wonder, and it's about how we need wonder and play as we get older, because we lose that. When we watch children, they have this euphoria and a sense of play and wonder in the world, and we lose that. So her book is about how do we rediscover that as adults.
Can you get it on Amazon and stuff?
You can get it on Amazon right now. Actually, it's on sale on the Kindle right now this week for 99 cents. And
Whoa, that's a deal.
yeah, and then the hardback is due out May 19th. So but it's all up there on Amazon for pre-order right now.
Nice. Give me the name of the book again.
Unshaken Wonder, Becoming the Playful Elders We Need.
All right, nice.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, we have some comments coming in on creative blocks here. So Chris says, Chris, he has 3 first names, says, I have a hard time finding a good location for shoot. It doesn't matter if I'm shooting people or shooting a car. You know, location scouting's tough.
Yeah.
That's why people actually, Chris, there are people that make their living as location scouts. We've hired location scouts. We've literally hired people who they are experts at finding great places for photo shoots. So now some people will go, well, I don't have a budget for that. Well, yes, neither did we.
I would say the other thing along those lines is I think it's hard for when I go out, if I'm not just doing like landscape work looking for something pretty, but I'm looking for locations, if I don't have an idea ahead of time really of what I want the story to be on the location, I find myself driving around to look for something that I'm not sure what it is. So I actually have gone where I sketch out kind of my shots ahead of time. Like I want a building on the left, and I want a fire escape coming down. So I get an idea of really kind of what I'm looking for ahead of time.
And then you go look
and then I
for
go
that?
look for that, and it's amazing what you can find if you do that ahead of
Really?
time. I
I've
learned
never done
actually
that.
learned that trick from John Paul Caponegro.
He's smart.
Yeah, he's really smart. And
Really?
we were going to go to this state park, and he made us sketch 15 photographs we were going to take. And all of us were like, we've never been to the park. How could we possibly do that? He's like, just sketch 15 photos you want to take. We came back, and all of us hit 13, 14 out of 15.
Really?
And he said what it does is it teaches your brain to see the shape and geometry of what you're looking for, and then you'll basically fill in the blank. So I think
I'm
if you get a sense of what you want ahead of time, I think that's easier than going out and trying to find the location and backfill it. That might help.
Great advice. Hey, Chris, I have some advice for you that's kind of, it's not as good as what Daniel just said, but it might help you. We did a class at KelbyOne with Jeremy Cowart about shooting on location, and it was taped in Venice, California. So we've done a number of them with him in Miami and in Venice. And in Venice, the whole class was about, now you're going to think, oh, Venice was great. It's not. Venice is not great. Venice is great for shooting street photography. It is not great for portrait shoots. It's a mess for portrait shoots. That's why you want to watch this class. Jeremy Cowart is the most amazing I've ever seen in my entire life of getting location shoots out of nothing. We did a location shoot outside the bathrooms that is off the hook. He has that eye, and it really is about being able, like, if it's a really great scene, anybody can find it. You walk up and go, oh, look, there's an abandoned church, and it's just,
Yeah.
But we don't find those, we're like, oh, there's a Dairy Queen, and there's a Burger King. Let me tell you what, Jeremy Cowart could pull a shot out of the side of a Burger King that would freak you out. Go watch his class. If you're not a KelbyOne member, just join. I don't know what to tell you. Just go join, but it's Jeremy Cowart. I'll get you the name of the class.
That is an amazing.
I'll dig it up on the break.
And you were right. He is amazing at that. I have been in.
He's the best I've ever seen.
I've been in a warehouse with him shooting, and I'm like, "Where'd you photograph that?" And he's like, "It's the wall behind you."
Oh.
And I'm like, and as soon as you see it, you're like, "Oh, that is an amazing wall."
But he's really toned his eye. So
yep.
that's one of those things. We have some more comments coming back. Chiqui Nando says, shall I sign up for dinner with a stranger? No, Chiqui Nando, you're going to be busy the whole time with people you already know. Chiqui Nando, you know everybody at Photoshop World. You've been to Photoshop World. You shall not sign up for dinner with a stranger. You will sign up for dinner with Scott and friends. So do not sign up for that. Leave it for people who need it, Chiqui Nando. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got some good comments here that we want to talk about. Interesting one from John Little. Yeah. So stick around. We'll be right back right here. We're live on the grid with Daniel Gregory. And it's time to cheat.
This segment of the grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Hi, we're back. Scott here, Daniel, we're just kind of chatting on all kinds of stuff. We noticed that Jesse made a critical mistake.
Yes, a very dangerous mistake.
Jesse from the Twin Cities of Minnesota area said, it's finally spring. What happens when a Minnesotan says it's finally spring?
100 feet of snow.
That's like the gopher being shot,
Yeah.
right? That's like Punxsutawney Phil getting a rocket launcher. Now it's all...
You can't say that. You can say that like in June, maybe.
It's all coming good. All right, we have some comments. Hey, I do want to mention, I'm going to be, speaking of something, I'm going to be in the Cincinnati, Covington, Kentucky area with a couple hundred photographers on Monday. You should come out. I'm teaching Lightroom all day long, and I'd love you to come out. We're going to have a great time. When's it? Monday. What's this? Wednesday. So coming out to the Northern Kentucky Convention Center, it's going to be awesome. I don't get to Kentucky very often because Indiana wants me. Lord, I can't go back there. Anyway, but Kentucky will let me in. So come out on Monday. We're going to have a great time. It's like $99. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss $100 goodbye. Come and check it out. We'll have a great time. And that's coming up on Monday. Also, today on my blog, yesterday on my blog, Dave Williams showed a picture of goats and trees. That's worth going to my blog for. So every Tuesday, Dave writes a column on my blog. It's Travel Tuesday with Dave, and he has a very interesting article on bracketing. But the fact that he shows a picture of goats and trees makes it worth going to scottkelby.com, back up till yesterday, and check out his thing. All right, we got some comments here. John Little had a good comment, I thought, here. John says, my clients are my best source of inspiration because they have ideas of what they want to see, and they're not being photographers really opens up photographers. Jeez, I'm having the heart. Let's just read this again. John Little says, my clients are my best source of inspiration because they have ideas of what they want to see. And they're not being photographers really opens up immense possibilities. That's kind of what you were talking about earlier.
Is that collaboration and working together. And I think, for the clients just to have that opportunity to say something also includes them in the process and probably makes the shoot go easier because it's a little bit more collaborative.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff liked your pre-visualization. Says your pre-visualization is excellent advice. Peter Holdman says, and this is a good one too, find something to limit yourself. I know a lot of photographers do this. He says throw a nifty 50 on, which is a 50 millimeter, because a lot of people are using zoom lenses and telephotos. You throw a 50 on. I did that one day. I was in Denver, and I wasn't that excited about shooting downtown Denver. So I thought I'm going to stretch myself. I'm going to put a 50 on, and I did. And it really does make you think. It forces you to be more creative because you don't have the crutch of zooming in or zooming out. Yep. If you want to zoom in or zoom out, you zoom with your feet.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the other things that we talk about a lot is constraints are huge to help you get past a creative block. Because sometimes one of the things that blocks us is there's too many options. I mean, I hear that sometimes when people are editing the photo. They're like, oh, there's just so many things I can do to it. I don't even know where to start. Well, if I'm like, okay, well, you can only use the vibrant slider and the exposure slider, do the best you can with those two, then they can get started. I think the Nifty 50 is a great way like that too. Instead of taking all your camera gear and then being paralyzed by what's the right thing, if you got a 50, you got a 50.
Yeah,
pretty easy at that point.
You got a 50. Let's see. Tammy says, and I love this quote. Tammy says, read a Kelby book. There you go, Tammy. Well said. Oh, can I say something along those lines? It's not read a Kelby book. But when I get stuck, one of the main things that I do is, of course, talk to Calibra. My second thing is literally, and I think more photographers need to do this, is look at the work of other photographers.
That is an awesome tip.
I think that being inspired, like what makes me want to go shoot is literally just watching other photographers. If I go and look on 500px and I type in, now, by the way, sometimes I will look at photos that aren't the genre what I'm stuck with. So if I'm stuck with a portrait shoot or a fashion shoot or whatever, I might not look at that. I might look at sports photos, like sport athletes' portraits or something. But looking at that stuff gets your motor running. Yeah. It gets ideas flowing, and you see, oh, I wish I had thought of that. Oh, wow, that's really a great idea and all. And it does really start to get your creative juices. Because I think that's a lot of it is sometimes The car is just not warmed up.
Yeah.
And doing that, another, you know what a great place is? Pinterest. I know it sounds like Pinterest.
No, we're supposed to pin cool stuff at Pinterest.
Well, do you know why I like Pinterest? Because Pinterest has already been curated.
Yeah.
Somebody's already gone through and said, I'm going to go pick a. So if you picked a topic, and whatever the topic would be, all right, and I'll just pick one and we'll go. We'll go here in a second to Pinterest, and I'll just pop in a topic, and you'll see there's a lot of really great. It's amazing for travel, but it's also amazing for portraits. If you said I want to do a portrait using silk, someone's put together all kinds of the best silk photos, like whatever. But we'll go look at one here.
Yeah, I think the other along those lines.
Get it rolling.
I mentioned this in the printing class we were doing on Monday, that I think two things that move photographers forward quickly is shooting more and printing. But looking at work, I think, is also
printing
incredibly critical. And if somebody came to me and said, I have $1,000 to spend on a lens and I want to really take my photography forward, which lens should I buy? I tell them, go buy $1,000 worth of books of photographers' work and just look at that work over and over again. Because a lot of those photographers, they didn't have zoom lenses. They didn't have huge lenses to shoot with. And they made some of the most iconic photographs. I mean, if you look at the cameras like Walker Evans and Dorothea Lange and were shooting, those were huge clunking cameras with no zoom on them.
Huge,
and so I think, to look at those people and look at what made a Dorothea Lange photo amazing, and then try to replicate that is huge. Because looking is how we learn.
Oh, it's making me log in and everything. Hang on.
The internet does not appreciate.
The internet does not appreciate logons.
So buying any kind of book though is a great piece. I have like 300. I actually have an addiction in that regard. When we moved houses, I had 27 books of photo books, and those aren't like my Kelby books. Those are just my
photo books. I have a whole shelf of those. I've been very fortunate that over the years, people have either gifted me or photographers have sent me, hey, take a look at my book. I have a whole shelf in my office and a whole shelf at home. Brad Moore would always get me really nice photo books. Joe McNally gave me some wonderful books. Like if Joe knew I was going someplace, to go, hey, here's a couple of books on it and stuff. And oh my gosh, those books. And you know what else too? There is something. It's great to look online because it's so accessible, and there's such a volume. But there is something about sitting in a cozy chair and cracking open a book of great photography. Gregory Heisler's book, 50 Portraits.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
Oh, when you wanna get inspired to shoot portraits, that's a great one.
Well, and not only that, when you look at stuff on the screen, you have no idea how well it was copied to be put on the screen. But when you sit down with a book, they just look different and they feel different.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just share my computer here. Let's go to. Oh, I went to I actually just connected to the to my office. Let's go to Video Control Room 2, which is where I love to go. And let's see. Oh, could not. Okay, good. It didn't connect to the other one. Hey, did that work?
No. Beautiful silk portraits on the screen, though.
Yeah, I just typed in fashion lighting, and it brought up all kinds of shots, and I want to show you some of the stuff. And this is just right on Pinterest, and I think it's pretty awesome. And yes, I accept your terms of service and blah, blah, blah. I love where it keeps bringing those up. So just 1 second as we get that. I sprung one on the control room, and they're like, what? And I'm like, what? Hey, while we're waiting, I'll read a couple of comments. Kathy Bateson. Hi, Kathy. Kathy says, every week I try something new. I think it's because I get bored easily.
Or I'm extremely creative.
Jeff May says, I try manual labor. I mow the yard. I do home or car repairs. This helps reboot my creative side. You know what's nice about stuff like that? Like, I like doing things that take my mind off everything else.
Yeah.
Like, there are certain things, like golf is so hard for me, playing guitar is so hard, all these things that I have to focus on that, and I can block everything out. I think that's a great idea.
That's a really great idea.
Pierre says, hi from Budapest. High five. What a great town, Budapest. What a photographer's paradise. Paul's here from Pasadena. And then Jock's Photo says, there's only 2 seasons in Minneapolis or in Minnesota. Winter and July 4th. And Kathy Bateson says, laughing out loud, that's not a bad Irish accent, Scott. Thank you, Kathy. I have so little. Appreciate that.
Next quote's worth reading.
And then Patrick says, it's a better Irish accent than Tom Cruise had in Into the West. All right, are we good, Wani? We're just checking with the control room. They don't let me speak directly to the control room. It's forbidden. I have to speak through an intermediary, which is Juan. And Juan is looking the opposite direction, so that's not really a good sign. You know, I could be wrong. Juan is not happy. I'm on video control room too, just in case.
I will say one of the things when we were talking about Lori's book, one of the things that I admired and learned from Lori is in her creative practice as a writer, she's like, I will literally write hundreds of pages that get thrown in the trash. She's like, I am completely okay working, knowing that a bunch of my stuff's never going to see the light of day. She's like, and that allows my creativity to go because I don't have to have everything be perfect. And I think as photographers, and I know for myself sometimes, I set out to try to make everything right, like you said, from the get-go. And I want every photo I take to be amazing. And she's like, I write hundreds of pages to get one. She's like, and sometimes...
That's tough.
She's like, and sometimes I write 50 pages and I get 50 pages. And sometimes I write for 8 hours and I get nothing. She's like, but it's the act is what is actually important and not the expectation. And I think that's one of the ones
she's
that
so much better than me.
I know, well, that's why she's smarter than me.
You know, because I think as photographers, if we do a shoot, we expect to come back with something.
Yeah.
And what she's doing is, hey, I'm going to write these pages. If nothing comes out of it, it's okay. I'm still moving towards my process. That's a very enlightened and smart and awesome way to think. I wish I thought like that. But if I do a shoot and I come back and I didn't get anything, I really feel like, wow, I just got nothing. So AJ Gray says, whenever I go to Pinterest for 500px, I worry that I don't have anything to add and I should just stay home and be a fan. How do you come up with your own ideas? That's a real struggle for me. This is my creative block is not lighting. It's like when I get on the set, I'm not like, oh no, I don't know what to do. When I get on the set, I need to have a great set. And a lot of times I can't come up with a great idea. And so like I have a shoot coming up Tuesday, right? Very first thing I asked was, Calibre, can you come on the shoot? She intrinsically walks on the set and goes, okay, this needs to be here, that needs to be there, da, 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 da. Then all I have to worry about is the lighting and the camera settings and composition. When you can have just that piece of the puzzle. So when you have a teammate, AJ Grace, when you have a teammate, and you talked about this earlier, Daniel, when you've got somebody else to help, it's an incredible help. Having of like when I had Brad Moore working with me full time for a long time, and Brad would come up and whisper things in my ear, you know, like, don't forget this, or have you thought about that, or have you tried that? And they're like, sometimes you get so into your, like you get in a focus zone and you're focused on the lighting and the rest of the shoot's falling down around you. It's like, wait a minute, that's not, we're here to tell a story, we're not here to light. Lighting is just helping you tell the story. It's not, the story isn't I lit this, the story is the story. And so I do think that, AJ, I would give you that advice is go there to be inspired, but to come up with your own ideas. I'll tell you, and I will tell you since you're into guitar.
All right.
So in guitar, when you hear someone play a guitar lead, right? Well, no one's born with that. You don't just go, wow, I know my fingers are just going to the right place, you know? There's a lot of math and things behind it. But behind the math, like once you know what the scales are and you're playing your major and minor pentatonic scales and whatever, however you're going to solo, is you wind up copying other people's solos note for note. Like I'll go and I'll learn a Joe Perry solo, and I'll learn a Steve. No, I don't learn Steve Vai one. I'll learn a Stevie Ray Vaughan. You know, he's a little bit easier. And at some point, I even bail. You know, or I'll learn a solo from Journey or whatever, and I learn it note for note. Now, there is no call for someone who can play all that stuff note for note because every guy in every cover band can do that. But what happens is later on in the night, you're playing the blues, and you pull a line from one song that you knew, and you mix it with a line from another song that you knew, and another, and you're playing your own thing, and you're phrasing it in a different way. Like your style, AJ Grace, grows out of emulating those people on Pinterest and 500px. Because worst comes to worst, let's say that you went and you found Von Wong, and Von Wong is, what? So just if you don't know who Von Wong is, just go search for photographer Von Wong. Your mind will be blown. And if you went and you said, I'm going to do a Von Wong, what's the worst somebody says? Oh my gosh, it looks like a Von Wong. But that's not the goal. The goal is to get to a Von Wong, and then you're going to find out, you know, I actually like it better if I don't do this in this color. And I actually don't like that. Your style will grow out of emulating other people's styles. So that's why it's good to go to 500px and Pinterest and these other things to kind of start getting their ideas. Start practicing by emulating their ideas.
Yeah.
Your ideas will grow out of that. But until you can copy other people, until I could copy those solos, there was no chance I'm just going to have this amazing solo that comes out of me just because it did. You know, it's like that's the way we all learn lead guitar. We copy our heroes, and then our style grows out of it. And I'm hoping that at some point in the future, a style that it will grow out of all the stupid solos I know note for note. So, and none of them are Van Halen, by the way.
The other thing I would say to AJ is if you're looking at 500 pics, get a notebook or a piece of paper next to you and just write down how the photograph makes you feel or what you like. So it's like, oh, I like the saturation colors. I like blue. That made me feel warm and fuzzy. That felt cold, whatever it is. And just write down that list and then close 500px and then come back the next day and look at your list of words. And then from that, you'll probably get some ideas of like, oh, I'm going to go out and shoot something that's dark and moody.
Yeah.
And what you got is the idea from looking at the photographs, but
not the actual.
The actual. And you're no longer now looking at a photograph thinking, well, I'll never get to Iceland to recreate that photograph. I should hang it up. What you get is I'm going to go tell my own story using these concepts that were in the other photographs. And sometimes that's enough to get the idea is I just need a word to get me started. Like go photograph wind, go photograph love, go photograph monkeys without monkeys, whatever it is. Sometimes we just need that concept. That's banana photographs, by the way.
I was going to say, I want to see the monkeys without monkeys.
I actually have
that one sounds
on my Instagram feed as a monkey without monkeys photo.
All right.
A little crate of bananas.
And by the way, you should go to, hey, there's my screen there. You should go to Iceland because there's no photographers there. You'll have the place to yourself. Okay. So that was a joke, by the way. So I just typed in fashion lighting here if you want to get an idea. Now, unfortunately, it did show me home lighting here. 8 trending lighting styles to brighten your home. But outside of that, there's all kinds of great ideas here. And a lot of the ideas also have, look, here's what I shot it with. I shot it with this Profoto giant dish. And you can see, look, they put up looks like a gobo there in front of the subject, right? A little crate in front of them. And you can see right here on Pinterest. Now, and this is the difference between, I think, Pinterest and 500px. Pinterest will have tutorials and a lot of lighting and behind the scenes stuff, where 500px, you're just going to see the photo. But like all these ideas right here, because here you think, whoa, I kind of like this. Because what you might take from this is, I like the smoke.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want someone smoking, maybe, but I like the idea of smoke. I like the colored gels idea. So what if I take the colored gels and I do some smoke and see this shot right here? That's the Lightroom splash screen photo, right? That's the shot that you see when you launch Lightroom.
Yep.
Right there, Lightroom CC or whatever it's called this week. Right there. How about that? So anyway, there's just a lot of great ideas. And I think this is a great place to come and just get all kinds of like ideas for fashion. I'm going slowly in case something naked shows up, just in case Jen has posted something in here. You know, Juan actually smiled for that. You know how hard it is to make Juan smile. It's not easy.
You know, one of the other things I think, and looking at some of the comments, is that we put an amazing amount of pressure on ourselves to, like you said, to always be on.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, we need to create some space. If the glass is full and you just keep trying to pour water into it,
yeah,
it's going to spill on the table. And
I know, but we always feel like a failure when that happens. I mean, it's like you go out and you feel like you came back with nothing. It honestly, you have to have a right mindset because it can chip away at your confidence because you went, man, I shot for 2 hours and I got nothing.
Yeah, but if you show those photos to somebody else, they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like our own head is part of our creative problem. Like,
yeah, it's all in our head, right? All right, a couple more comments here. Let's see. Ben says there's a great book about starting out by copying other people's styles. That's Glenn Dewis has a great book.
He does, yeah.
What is it called? About
photograph like a thief.
How to photograph like a thief. There you go. Brian in Iowa says, joining a local photography club helped me get out of my comfort zone and shoot subjects I would not normally think to do. Jeff says a self-photo challenge is good for helping with creativity. We've done those. If you're on the KelbyOne blog, we do photo challenges.
Yeah.
And we've told people to go, like today, I picked some of those photos. I picked some of those myself.
Whoa.
The ones that are really deep and heady, those are me, and all the rest are somebody else. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So Gary says, what I usually do is bring along my camera on my morning walk. Usually on low tides along the shore, it almost always reboots, and there's more to the sentence, but I can't see it. So I'll just make up other words. It almost always reboots my Mac OS 10 Leopard. Oh, it almost always reboots everything in my photography. Thank you. Thank you, Jackie. All right. Sandy says, I will have different shots from other photographers saved on my phone. So when I get stuck, I look through those shots and it suddenly gets me going again. A friend of mine cuts photos out of a magazine. So when she gets stuck, she starts looking at those and gets inspired. Sandy, I have the similar thing. I have private Pinterest boards. Like I just, if I need to look at a particular hairstyle, like I might have a whole board of just hair, or a whole board of just black and whites, or a whole board of whatever. But yeah, I have ones that are just for inspiration when I know I want to, because sometimes they'll be on the set, and when I am stuck, I just need to stop and go get re-inspired. And I'll go look at some other images, and I'll come back. And you're not going to be able to copy those images, especially if I copy somebody's images and I put it on Facebook, they'll be like, oh, Scott, that's Bob Johnson's images. Even if I take a picture in the same place, people go on Facebook and go, I took that same shot. In fact, it looks like you were standing where I was standing. And you're like, I didn't rip you off. Other people were standing with me. There was a lot of people standing there. It's Paris. That's the Eiffel Tower. Anyway, let's see. That was it. That was the comment.
Oh, and I was going to say, I think, Gary brings up a good point that some other people have mentioned. I think it's worth reinforcing is, that walking along the tide is what rejuvenates, and so finding that, if you get energized by the city, taking a walk through the city and just letting the city energize you. I mean, I have friends from New York, and that's what they talk about. Like, they need the buzz of the city to really feel like they're getting out there and getting connected. Yeah. Some people need to be in nature, and so maybe just returning to that and kind of putting your mental state in the spot of energy it needs. Some people need lower energy, some people need higher energy, and recognizing what you need and then doing that instead of trying to be something else.
Yeah, well done, Gary. All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to do our giveaways, and we got a couple more comments to read and stuff.
Free stuff.
Free stuff with Daniel G. Sounds like a rapper.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Not backwards.
Hey, we're back. We're just about out of time. We got a couple more comments here. So John has got a great comment here. He says, when one is lacking inspiration, why search for it? Why force it? It's time to do something else for a while. And Lisa says, I go on monthly photo walks with a group from work.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. You must have a big workplace. Because if you work in a place with 3 people, like if you work at Subway, right? Because you worked at Subway for a while, didn't you, Daniel? Just go with me here.
I did. I worked at many Subways.
Thank you.
That's how I paid for my college.
And that's did you do the $5 foot longs?
$5 foot longs back then.
Yeah. So did you ever take like some of the sandwich artists out and go? And
I did. We took some of the artisans out, and we each divided up based on preferred bread type.
Where
we're going to photograph.
Dude, that was well done, dude. All right. Hey, we're going to do some giveaways because that's what we do. So we're giving away some great stuff today. We're giving away a Platypod Max, the big boy. We're going to give away a Platypod Ultra. Now you have to tell us which one you want to win: big Platypod, little Platypod, or a signed copy of my brand new book on press now. I think we even showed a promo, Lightroom Classic book. It's classic, and this book it's the biggest update I've ever done to the book because they changed so many things. And the last book was printed in 2015, so it was time. It was time. So go to KelbyOne.com/contest. There it is. There's the submission form. While you're there, just go ahead and join. Hit join right there. Become a member up in the right corner. You don't have to, but it increases your chances to win by 1 million. No, it doesn't really. But in the comment section, you need to tell us what you want to win. But you're right there on our site. Hit home or something. Don't just go and try to win free stuff and leave, because that way you'll be stuck in a creative block forever. Hey, James says, while listening through earbuds, I'm convinced that Daniel sounds so much like Mandy Patinkin. Go ahead and talk. I'm going to listen.
Do you have 6 fingers on your left hand?
Mandy.
My name is Inigo
came,
Montoya. You killed my
came
father. Prepare to die.
Without taking. But I sent you away. Mandy.
I think Barry was singing to a different Mandy.
Suzanne says, I don't know if Daniel sounds like Mandy. Get him to say,
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
you need to put a little more Latin in there. It sounds a little bit Canadian.
Well,
That sounds like Vancouver, where I come from.
it's my Tom Cruise Canadian
Oh, that's good. He's very good.
Latin voice. Spanish. I guess Spanish would be the.
Anyway, my
there.
friends, it's come time to say goodbye to all our company. DAN.
IEO.
GREGORY. Daniel Gregory.
Mickey Mouse.
Forever let us. Hey, Jackie, you did a fine job today. Thumbs up from Jackie. Jackie normally is in our ninja department. So what we do is we release her on people that we're angry with. She just shows up, kills them quickly in the night, and then no. She is a social media. What is it? Digital marketing. Okay, thank you. It's not social media, it's digital marketing. But she uses social media for digital marketing because how else are you going to do it? But she's really, really good at it. And apparently, she's very organized. For the first time in the history of the show, 6 years, she put things in categories. I'm like, that's good.
It was nice.
It's very nice. Thank you, Jackie. Well done. Juan, you were effervescent. Oh, speaking of Juan, is that Juan's? How are we doing on our march to 1,000? 637 followers. Look at the look at. I was going to say shots, and it sounded bad, but look at the shots Juan's putting up.
Wow.
Juan's a good photographer.
That's some beautiful work.
How do we get more people to follow Juan? Everybody should follow Juan. All right, it's underscore Juan Alfonso because there's 100 Juan Alfonsos. So JUANALFONSO, follow. See what the cursor's doing? Follow. We're trying to get Juan to 1,000 followers. We have to do this soon. All right, there it is. Underscore. See the underscore? It's very important. Jason's like, we got a nutty director. Juan Alfonso. Go follow him on Instagram. Everyone should. You know what would help Juan? Can I be straight with you? Like, Juan is the nicest guy in the world. But, dude, that picture, you look like you're in a gang. Right? Jackie's had to laugh. I'm telling you, that's like the don't follow me. Don't follow me. I'm on Rikers Island for the next 3 months. Can we get Juan? I got such a great picture of you. I'm gonna go find it. Hold on, don't move. I'm gonna show you a picture of Juan, and it's the real Juan. And you're gonna go, well, who is that guy in his Instagram page? That's Mean Juan. Nobody wants Mean Juan. We want Happy Love Juan. Love Juan. Oh, every time I try to go to log into Adobe Spark, it just wants to shoot me. Hang on a second. Yeah. 1 second.
I also like on your feed a little hometown action for me. I got to see a little of that Pike Place Market. It was nice.
Let's see. Is this it? This will get me close. I can get to my Spark page. It's not the exact article, but hold on. I got to find the one about Venice. Oh, wait, I shared this the other day from my Facebook. Don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. I want you to see what Juan really looks like, because it's an unfair characterization of Juan. And so take a look at Juan's picture there, and I'm going to find you a picture of Juan that you're going to go, yeah, that's not real Juan. Just a moment. My Facebook is loading as slow as it possibly can. It senses that you're trying to do something important, and that's why it waits forever. All right, don't move, don't breathe, don't make a sound. Hold on, here we go. I'm almost there. I gotta scroll down the page. Let's just enjoy Juan's photography while we're doing this. Seattle, is that Seattle?
That is Seattle.
Oh.
There's the infamous gum wall.
By the way, look who's here, Melanie Kern Favilla, and she says, as many people think, Juan is an absolute doll. And then Johan says, bring Juan to Photoshop World. Juan will be at Photoshop World doing a autograph signing. And he says, let Peter do a shebang headshot. Don't you have a Peter Hurley shebang headshot? Oh, we got to get one of those. Hold on. I'm going to go all the way down to Juan here, the bottom of my thing. Let me get my Juan shot all queued up. I got a good shot. It looks just like Juan. It's like captured Juan in his essence. All right. Check this out.
Yeah.
You got to switch to, that's Juan. Friendly guy, fun guy, happening guy. That's Juan. Now go back to his Instagram. Don't you just push a button in there? There we go. That's not the Juan we know and love. You got to switch that, Juan. You're going to lose followers. Juan says yes. I'll license this picture to you. Anyway, now we switch it back.
I think he's paid for it.
He has.
Yeah.
I think he has. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Scott.
Where can people learn more about you?
So my website's danieljgregory.com. My podcast is The Perceptive Photographer, and on all social media, I'm Dan Greg Photo.
Nice. And you were here doing some classes for KelbyOne?
I was doing a printing class. So it's basically from getting your work environment set up through kind of the things to consider about selecting paper, color management, printers, if you're going to work with outsourced printers, kind of how you do that. But
it's really more the important stuff about printing. It's not so much the nerdy stuff, like which dialog box to check.
Oh, actually, no. I basically, when we hit the dialog box, I'm like, you click on the print settings dialog box and you do what your nerd friends tell you to do here.
Yeah,
but
this is about what really makes the print.
How do you think about paper? How do you think about the substrates in terms of like, how do you want the print to feel? We cover some of the basics of making sure your workflow makes sense so that you do all of your edits. And then what do you need to do is that last little bit to print. We do it for Photoshop and Lightroom, although I recommend everybody prints out of Lightroom because you get amazing output sharpening. It does all the resizing for you, all the brain things that make my head hurt. Lightroom just takes care of.
Oh, I love printing out of Lightroom. And once I started printing out of Lightroom, I stopped printing out of Photoshop completely.
Yeah, and I tell people if they, like, everybody's got their subscription and the people tell me I hate Lightroom, I'm like, great. Put your photo into Lightroom to print with.
Who hates Lightroom?
I don't want to use their names on the air. They're very sensitive.
Really?
Yeah. They feel, they're sensitive people.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're used to
they have their own coalition.
Yeah, they're used to printing out of Photoshop, and it's just what they're used to. And,
it's just their old school.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some things in Lightroom. The output sharpening alone is, for me, worth it. I mean, that was built by Bruce Fraser, Jeff Shuey, and Pixel Genius made that, and you can't beat that for output sharpening.
It does all the math based on the resolution
and size, and that's what you have to do if you're going to output sharpen well. And so, it's a great one. Can I ask you a question about the output sharpening while we're talking Lightroom? Yeah. Have you noticed that the one called low really means off? Yeah, so I heard Jeff Shuey explain that to me one time. He said that standard is for all photographers, and that he sent it to John Paul Caponegro and to Mac Holbert. And Caponegro, who's got these beautiful gradation transitions, told him, you're over sharpening my images. So they created low. And Mac Holbert said, do you know how to sharpen an image? So he created high. And so Shuey would tell you, if your name is not Holbert or Caponegro, you choose standard. I always choose high. Yeah. I love sharp. You like the punch. Well, I do like the punch, but also there's an inherent loss of sharpness because of the porousness of the paper and the ink and all that. It is, and I think one of the things that's really, they did a great job figuring out in all that math was, those matte papers, that ink spreads out pretty far, and they put in the appropriate amount. Because if you sharpen and look on screen, you would dial it back because you think, oh, that's way too much sharpening, but those papers need a lot of help. All right, Johan wants to know what's the new class that's here this week. I would ask the mistress of digital marketing, but she probably doesn't know. No, she says, I don't know. While she's looking, I can tell you the other class we recorded, though, was a critique class. Ooh, now tell us about this, because critiques are very near and dear to the Grid crew. Yeah, so I've been involved with the online community at community.KelbyOne.com and people reviewing work up there. And one of the things I teach at the school up in Seattle is a number of literacy critique classes. And so I picked a methodology that has been around for about 70 years about how to understand work, and we went through that process. And so it's basically 4 basic steps to an analysis of the work. And Whether you actually do the critique, which is in this methodology is the judgment of the work, is immaterial. It's really about how do we look at a photograph and give feedback to really help somebody move forward, even if we don't like the photograph, even if it's not a genre we shoot, even if it's something we don't think we're interested in. It's how do you look at and engage with a photograph in a meaningful way and then be able to share that with somebody. And it was really great. We had 4 people come in and bring their work in. And so we actually got to look at their photographs and talk about the work. So it was a really, really kind of cool experience.
All right. And you actually brought people in?
We actually brought people in who had never been through the process, didn't know anything about the process.
Make them cry?
Nobody cried.
Then you didn't do it right. All right. Hey, the class that you're going to see is the Creative Portraits on a Budget from Irene that we saw earlier. We watched that little video. There it is. So that's the class. I guess it's live now. It's supposed to come out tomorrow, but sometimes we release them on Wednesday because we don't run things that tight, do we, Jackie?
It's tomorrow in Australia.
No, Jackie's like, whatever.
It's yesterday in Australia.
Hey, Catbo says, I received my Platypod Max this week. Thank you, Scott. So excited to win the contest. And I won the Ultra around back. Hey, you're all set for don't enter again or ask for the book, Cat.
Ask for the book this
You've
time.
already got all the platypods anyone would ever need. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Daniel, thank you very much for sharing all of that stuff and for sharing your time with us. Juan, what can I say that hadn't already been said by someone more handsome? Jason in the booth, Ron, Jackie, everybody. We'll see you next week. Well, with any luck at all. Cheeky Nando.